Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the P-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael Angelillo. Michael, how we doing, man?
We're good. We're good, I guess.
Yeah,
Just trying to stay afloat with this weather.
dude. So with this weather, man, I don't know about you, but everyone at work is feeling like some levels of sickness. Everyone I know, it's
Yeah, a
either,
lot of people at work are getting sick. For me too.
and it's like you either have like the flu or like the cold,
Yeah,
and like for me right now, it's like I never really get sick, but when like I'm around a bunch of people that get sick, my immune system like kicks in, and I don't get the sickness, but it just fights it off. But then I also feel like if I just get sick, it would just be faster to get rid of it.
I
Because
hear you. I hear what you're saying.
it's like slowly peeling
You're
off.
in that in between. You're in that in between stage, and that blows too. But yeah, it's a lot of snow. Allegedly, we did get a lot of snow, and then potentially a ton more. We'll all see. But the national championship was a couple days ago. Honestly, we could open with that before we get into the topics we actually want to talk about.
Great game.
Yeah, very good game, very good game. Mendoza, classic, really cool college performance there, like putting the body on the line. Wasn't his best game by any stretch. He really was getting hit around, but he made some big plays. Some of his big throws were mostly just like Charlie Becker was being a machine on back shoulder passes that weren't really well placed. They were just Becker being bigger and stronger and more athletic. But Mendoza did have the great, iconic live in Indiana football history forever touchdown run on 4th and 5. Um, you know, taking hits, staying on his feet, diving across, really cool moment. And then Carson Beck driving down, made a couple nice throws, and then just totally underthrew one. Was taking the shot to go ahead with the touchdown and underthrown, intercepted, game over. So really good game. Some
Yeah,
discourse with some coaching decisions too on the final Indiana drive. But yeah, overall good game. A lot of cool storylines, entertaining. Congrats, Indiana.
yeah. I would say probably the best college football playoff that we've had so far. I would say in terms of
Um,
parity. I would say in terms of parity
I guess,
and
I guess new teams being around was cool, but I think of the national championship with Tua and Devontae Smith against Georgia in overtime, and I feel like that was a really cool run too. But yeah, this one was definitely quite good. There wasn't as many stinkers as we usually see.
yeah. It sucks that like now college football's over. It's like watching that game. It's like wow, it's a great game, and now we
You're
gotta wait
really
months.
yeah, yeah. We're at the end tail of football here. Only 2 games, 2 weeks of games left, and then we are full on into everything else. But yeah, good college football season, entertaining. Shout out Mendoza, will get drafted probably first overall, and we'll see how he translates to the NFL. Because what did you think of the Kurt Signetti decision to kick the field goal to go up 6 in that spot? I was very anti. I was very like, you're going to lose
Like, well,
yourself a
my
national
thoughts on it too,
championship.
man. Exactly my thoughts on it is like Greg Olson, G Reg from the Seventh Floor Crew.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh boy. Uh, um, he's the one that brought the good point. He's just like, dude, like if you go for it, like if you don't get it, they're gonna want to settle for the field goal. But when you're up 6, it forces them to go for the touchdown. And like I don't know, man. Like I
It's
saw.
that defensive positioning. Defensively, you get passive, and it's a theme that we're going to talk about again. We talk about the games getting too passive, trying to guard a lead, and you blow it. And when you're up 6, it's usually what happens. Indiana was getting a little passive, big plays were being hit, and things were getting sweaty. Ultimately, they got fortunate. Beck threw an interception on a deep ball, so maybe they would have settled a little bit, but that also could have been a touchdown. So it wasn't. I don't know. I just would have put the ball in Mendoza's
I
hands.
think that interception to end the game wasn't just a great play by the defender. They were playing cover two. They were totally banking on Miami, just kind of nickel and diming them until they get to the red zone and then take their shots.
The corner made a great play.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was they ran cover two. The corner saw that, oh, he's going to go route. I'm not gonna, and there's nobody in the flat, so I'm not gonna
Right.
stay there. I'm gonna not be
Sink underneath and Beck
like a defender in like EA Sports College Football 26, where I'm just gonna stand there
guard space. Yeah. Yeah.
stand there like a moron and do nothing. You know,
Yeah. No, because there was, I mean, if Beck put it out in front, there's a shot. Maybe he just can't make that throw. It's a very difficult throw. It's far.
I think Beck read it as cover two and then just didn't take
Was
it.
trying to throw back shoulder because the receiver really wasn't even close to it. Like the receiver was,
Yeah,
it was just tough. But good season. Always fun. But shout out Indiana. What we wanted to talk about today, before we break down the divisional weekend, we wanted to talk some baseball. It's been a while, and we had some huge names move teams throughout the week. The first name that dropped was Kyle Tucker signing a
yeah. This didn't go
4-year,
over very well. I think.
$240 million deal with the Dodgers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Kyle Tucker now makes $60 million a year.
It's a lot of money, and, the Dodgers are spending as they can spend, paying the big tax. It's honestly there's a narrative that is misconstrued at times, but I think definitely has some truth to it, and, like, decisions like this, to me, further cements that narrative, and the narrative is that Kyle Tucker isn't, like, that obsessed or whatever with wanting to be the guy, doesn't love the pressure. We have the memories of him hitting home runs off Nola in the World Series, but Kyle Tucker largely a playoff dropper, even in his time in Houston. And signing a deal like this is going where the most money was being thrown at you in the shorter term and stuff. And you're going to a team where you're like the eighth most important player on the team. Not like bad, but like total player. And you're gonna hit like fifth maybe, but you're not more important than Shohei, Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, Yamamoto, um, like Snell and Glasnow. Like there's so many guys that are just much more important than Tucker when it comes to they need to have a really good season for us to succeed. And like a guy like Tucker is a good supplement for if Mookie Betts does have a down season or if Freddie Freeman starts to have a down season and Tucker has a great season. But the pressure is just very low. You have a laid back fan base in terms of like player scrutiny, and you're not like top five most important player on the team, and all the expectations are on the team, and like you're gonna have them, but you're gonna be able to kind of coast because the team's gonna play
Yeah,
well
it's just I don't
regardless.
know. This isn't any really different than the Yankees of the '90s and the early to mid 2000s that would just
Yeah,
go out and get the best players because they have the money to do so.
right.
No, no. I mean, and Michael, people complained back then when they did it too, Michael. It's nothing new in baseball
Right.
for this ever. Like this isn't like a brand new phenomenon that's going on. But I will say this: the difference between those Yankee teams and this Dodgers team, that Yankees team had a lot of homegrown players. The Dodgers are mostly of free agents. I mean, realistically,
Yeah, like their most homegrown guys.
Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith and like Muncy wasn't drafted by them, but he was acquired as a prospect and like blossomed through the farm and stuff.
Yeah,
Similar to Justin Turner
we'll
at
say
the
he was a
time.
farm product.
Yeah, so like those guys are farm guys, but it's really like now that Kershaw's gone, or like whatever is not really useful. You have like Yamamoto, where like yeah, he's only played for the Dodgers, but he was pretty much a finished product by the time he got there. It's
He
basically
was
a
like
free
the
agent
best
signing,
pitcher in Japan.
right? And like all the other guys, obviously we know where all they come from. Like Sasaki, if they develop Sasaki, like I get that counts as homegrown. That's like signing someone out of the Dominican, just because he was pitching well in a Japanese league, doesn't change that. So yeah, some big Dodger news, and this Kyle Tucker signing threw the alley-oop, I guess, for the New York Mets to swoop in and sign Bo Bichette to a 3-year, $126 million deal with opt-outs after each season, and each opt-out, if he elects to take them, costs the Mets another $5 million to pay the opt-out, like, fee, basically. So, essentially, if Bo Bichette plays 1 year, wants to leave, he will get a nice $47 million check from the New York Mets, for his services. So, yeah, the reason we're talking about it like this is that the Phillies, it's hard to say they had a deal in place, but they gave the number that the Bo Bichette and his agent were asking for, and like, they were under the impression that they were really gonna have a good chance and opportunity to sign him, and the Mets made him an offer, not to, make a joke,
Well,
made him an offer he couldn't
well,
refuse, like.
Ron. So, well, if you look at a lot of these Phillies free agent strikeouts that they've had,
Mhm.
Dave Dombrowski doesn't want to give opt outs.
Yeah, although he did say, because 'cause they've asked him about it since, he did say that opt-outs weren't, like, the issue he felt at hand this time. It wasn't something that was, like, the killer. I think it this time, more than anything, I think it really was the checkbook. They weren't opening it up for a
Yeah,
shorter
the
term.
Phillies don't want to. I mean, I hate to say this, but I think the Phillies have made some less than stellar signings that are expensive. That they're like, they've admitted it. They want to get rid of Casty. They're going to want to pay a team most of his contract just to take Casty off their hands for 1 year. They don't want to cut him and have to do a buyout. You know,
Yeah,
the
you would just like Taiwan and stuff, you would just think that, I don't know, like, you're giving out these long-term contracts. That's what they like to do. That's part of their MO. It's like, we don't wanna give, like you said, they don't wanna give opt-outs, they don't wanna give higher term, so they stretch them out over long periods of time and offer that security, essentially, that security from, "Oh, well, we're gonna carry you into your mid-30s so you don't have to worry about, trying to get a contract then," that sort of stuff. And, listen, if Bichette's camp asked for 7,200 and the Phillies said, "Yeah, we'll do it, man," and he just was like, "Sorry, never mind, I'm going to the Mets," like, that sucks, that really does. The Phillies, like, feels like the Phillies front office and company felt that. They felt wronged. It's hard to say the word wrong, but they felt gutted. They admitted that. They said they were upset by it, but, they gotta push forward, and they did a little bit. But Bichette to the Mets, it's hard to blame, like, I'm not gonna choose to blame him a ton because simply it's just a much better deal for him. For him as a player, it is a significantly better contract to
Yeah,
maximize your
because look,
earnings.
he collects a big fat check from the Mets for 1 year, and then if he doesn't want to be there anymore, it's possible, Michael, the Phillies will just sign him anyway.
Yeah, Phillies, if he has another really good year, a lot of teams are gonna be calling and offering the longer contracts. They're gonna be willing to commit to the 7-year deal probably just next year. So, he's in a great spot, I'd think. Um, it does help out that lineup with the production losses that they've made with some of the culture changes. Obviously, the Mets still need a lot of pitching help, but, um, that was a good move for them ultimately, I would say. And they also went out and acquired, Luis Robert for 2, I wouldn't say great prospects, but the trade-off is that the Mets are paying all of Robert's $20 million salary. So, I don't know, we all clowned the White Sox for not trading Robert at the deadline, and perhaps they should still be clowned for this, but we thought they were gonna, have to just pay a bunch of millions and then trade him again, but they were able to pay him or trade him away without paying any millions to Robert. So they got him off the team, which they wanted. I think that's a really nice move for the Mets too, because That's a guy I would have been totally willing to take a shot on as like a platoon guy or potentially center field guy. And the Mets are taking that chance. So gotta give them credit. They're trying to add, especially right-handed bats, it appears, to protect the likes of a switch hitting Lindor and Juan Soto. So gotta give them credit. They're definitely they are building out that lineup. The money is not an issue with Steve Cohen, clearly.
No, I just I do think obviously they want to have a different look. I just don't know. Like going forward though, like the losing Pete Alonso, that's a huge loss. And honestly, like Luis Robert, he's a guy we talked about before as a guy that's like a guy you'd bring in that we quote unquote fix, right?
Yeah, I mean he was having some really nice weeks before the trade deadline. You know,
Yeah, he was a guy. Oh, like, but they got Harrison Bader who gave them production
yeah, yeah,
as
sure.
well. I want to talk about. There's other moves that were made as well, hot stove wise.
Yeah, let's talk about what the Phillies did. Um, because of the Bo Bichette signing. So it really was going to be Bichette or JT. It was not going to be both. They made it pretty clear, according to all the reports, according to Matt Gelb, that the Phillies were so confident they were going to get Bichette that they called JT's agent and said, "Hey, we're probably going to be going in a different direction." And then it turns out, hey, never mind. And we'll give you that contract. It's the Phillies really it's very annoying and very unfortunate, but it's ultimately the cost of doing business in this situation where the Phillies owe a lot of just like appreciation for JT Realmuto, what he's done to the franchise over his tenure here. And especially after perhaps not the nicest of negotiations when he was up for free agency back in 2020, um, they were in a position where they were always going to pay JT extremely more than what anyone else was going to have to pay to sign him. Had the Phillies, let's say they did sign Bo Bichette and they weren't going to retain JT's not sniffing the money that he got from the Phillies from anyone else in the league. He's probably getting like a 2-year deal at like 24 million total. Um, Even 2 years, 30 million feels like that would have been even high for it. I don't think he would have got 15 AAV, and I don't think he would have got a third year. But the way the Phillies were looking at it, now they really had no choice, and they definitely need to bring him back for the catcher position. And 315 is what it came out to be. 3 years, $54 million total, with incentives to get it up to 60. And it's a lot. That is totally a lot of money for definitely a declining asset, but it's on just circumstances. They were in a position where they needed to keep him, and his importance to the pitching staff, I'm sure, is not something that can be fully quantified. And also the
Well, it's because the
clubhouse
Phillies
as
just
well.
don't have a long term solution at the position, and I also,
Right after trading away Duran,
yeah,
or for Duran, excuse
I
me.
do think though the vibe I'm sort of getting from Dombrowski and maybe Preston, we can include Preston Mattingly in this as well. There's definitely a desire to, there's definitely like frustration from the front office with the team in terms of like wanting to change things up, like guys needing to maybe need to step up and do better. And like, I don't want to say dislike, but to your point, Michael, oh, we're going to sign Bo Bichette, which we don't really have an, like, we don't have an open position for him, right? We're going
Well,
to have
you
to
would have,
trade, we're going to
yeah.
have to trade someone to fit him in. And then, oh, JT, we're going to just sign like Victor Carantini instead because he's cheaper, like kind of, that like,
No, they were willing to shake up the core. Absolutely. This is probably other like aside from trading like trying to trade JT and excuse me, not JT, trying to trade Castellanos and Bohm the last like year and a half or so. Um, this was definitely the most palpable time it felt like they were actually going to shake it up because who knows if they did trade, Bohm for whatever and previously you don't know who they were going to replace him with or fill him in with where this was like it's here. Like the plan, the idea, it is here. We are signing Bo Bichette. We're gonna trade Alec Bohm, and we're not re-signing JT, and we're gonna sign a cheaper catcher. And it's like that's a big shakeup. Two mainstays in the lineup, three if you include
Well,
Castellanos
well,
gone.
it is kind of it does kind of fit with a lot of how like modern baseball is kind of approaching the catching position. Like you look at the Houston Astros, for example, Michael, they had a super team,
Yeah,
and yet they had that scrub Martin Maldonado as a catcher using an
right,
illegal
right.
bat. Like they didn't need to have like Joe Mauer at catcher to be
Paying
successful.
paying a catcher a lot of money is like paying a catcher almost at all at times, like keeping him and stuff. It's worth it seemingly when they're like great, when they're really, really good. And JT was that guy for the last 5 years or whatever, like, he really was, and last year, had the down year all in all, and, like, the defensive stuff is taking a bit of a hit, and it's like, he's a declining asset, it just is what it is, um, but, the options all felt like a legitimate downgrade otherwise, and if you weren't going to improve elsewhere significantly, they viewed it as not worth it. Like that's truly what it was. If they had no means of getting better somewhere else in the lineup by like a large amount, aka Bo Bichette in, Alec Bohm out, it wasn't worth it to them for the drop off and what they were going to get from catching, which is like you said, Carantini or Jeffers and Marshawn slash Stubbs instead of JT.
I was gonna say
And,
maybe if they were to move Bohm, maybe a team that I was. I'll just throw this out there: Bohm for Rushman. I'm just throwing a rando or like a 3-team trade.
well, I mean, yeah. Well, no, I don't think that was ever the thought for them, to be honest with you. I don't think they genuinely thought I think that Adley pipe dream was just kind of fabricated out of nothing. I think it was just like, "Oh, that's similar to what they did when they got JT." Um, and I just don't know how much legs that actually had, and it didn't seem like it was all that live. But I do think Bohm it would have been nice because you sign Bichette and you trade Bohm away. That's an improvement one for one. You fall off at the catcher, but in theory, you would have been trading Bohm for like a middle rotation starter or another bullpen arm that's consistent, or maybe a right-handed outfielder that can platoon. And it's like now you improved on two positions and you took a hit at a position that, like you just said, isn't as highly valued in today's world of baseball. And like that's that would have been really cool. And like that didn't happen. And there's still, I think, at least one move to be made by the Phillies, which we don't need to like hypothesize. It would be a right-handed platoon outfielder. Um, we'll see if they do it. There's a chance they don't. But there was one other pretty notable signing. Um, Ranger Suarez, Phillies legend, is in agreement and just had his introductory press conference with the Boston Red Sox after signing a 5-year, what was it, $130 million
Yeah,
contract.
he got a nice bag.
Yeah, he did, and listen, life-changing money, absolutely. It's very heavily backloaded, so it kinda smells like the Red Sox don't plan on having him for 5 years and are gonna try to dump him off and trade him somewhere in a couple of years. We'll see, but it is definitely strange, the heavy backload of that contract, especially for a guy that does have, like, health concerns and long-term concerns. If those things didn't exist, I unequivocally believe he would have still been a Philly, but it's the fact that there are legitimate risks about his health and his durability and how long he can profile in the league, the stuff, all that stuff.
Well, obviously, my theory is I feel like in baseball, Michael, we're gonna start seeing more like 6-man rotations, and I think you're gonna see guys when I say six man, like a guy like Ranger, if need be, doesn't have to pitch twice a week. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox rotation, I think, is really good. I mean, a top 3 of Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, and Sonny Gray, that's a hell of a top 3 in a rotation, I can't lie. Um, and then your Brian Bayos, your Cutter Crawfords of the world, like, filling out the rest of the rotation. That's really solid. Like, it really, really is. Crochet is obviously one of the best in the league. Ranger, we know how great he is when he's on and how long those stretches last of him being dominant. And then Sonny Gray, like, is in that realm of like the Aaron Nolas of the world and like the Dylan Ceases, even though Cease, you know, got some money. Um, of just like consistent, solid with a high ceiling and has the occasional pretty horrendous start, but like the ceiling is pretty high, and you can trust is going to take the ball pretty much every fifth day. That's what
Yeah,
Sonny Gray's been throughout his career.
well, according to Fangraphs, the Red Sox are projected to have the best first starting rotation in baseball.
I told you, man. Like
So
I told you, like it's definitely.
I had something just to kind of go back real quick with Kyle Tucker. You mentioned like, oh, he's not the most important player, but like on the Dodgers, dude. Tucker? You know who Tucker reminds me a lot of, but he's a better version of him. Jason Worth.
Yeah, I mean,
I pulled up Jason Worth's numbers in his like prime years, like when the Phillies like quote unquote fixed him. He's very similar. His career path is very similar to Tucker, where Worth played with great players. Chase Utley finished third on the Hall of Fame ballot, by the way. Most likely will get elected in the next 2 years to the Hall of Fame. So that's going to be awesome,
yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
and like Ryan Howard, Victorino, Jimmy Rollins. And then we went to the Nats. When the Nats got good, he
He
started
was
playing
having
really.
big playoff moments again. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's not the most important player in the Nats, but he got like young Bryce Harper, Zimmerman,
Hmm.
um, Ian Desmond.
Desmond,
Desmond.
Espinoza. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So, um, Rendon, like, yeah, like all of a
Did he
sudden
play?
now,
Yeah, he did cross with Rendon, I think, at the end.
so damn man, that signing is just like I think people
It's a huge move. It's such a huge move where it's like it's gonna get a lot of talk because it's such a big number and 60 million, all that stuff. But I would not be surprised. I'm so serious. I would not be surprised if by like July, if Tucker's having like an average to like above average season, like if he's having a solid year, nothing inoffensive, whatever, um, or nothing offensive, um, but like it's Otani's having another great year, and Freeman's hitting 315, and Mookie's having a full bounce back from being sick. Like it's just not going to be a talked about point if he's not like making the All Star team or something. And you're going to get those Twitter accounts that are like the nerds that like to look at the underrated guys. It's like, Kyle Tucker has quietly been having an incredible season, and it's all these underlyings that are great. Like, that's probably the Dodgers' dream. The Dodgers don't need him to be some like 980 OPS guy, even though they're paying him, crazy money like that. They're aware that they have such a great team already that it's almost like Tucker is just insurance. It's literally just insurance for you know, having an older core like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman being pretty old and like Otani entering his 30s, it's like it's nice to have a younger bat that likely or hopefully for them, he has been injured, but is healthy if those other guys are taking a step back, miss some time, whatever. It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, seeing Ranger today in the Red Sox gear, I think that's when it finally hit me like, damn, that blows to see him in another team's uniform. Like it's one to
yeah.
see the notification, but it's another to see him put on the hat and the jersey, and you're just like, shit, man, I
Definitely
didn't
one of
think
those
I'd
like
see
free
that.
agent departures where you're not like oh, like I can't believe he didn't re-sign with the Phillies. It sucks, dude. Like,
Mhm.
like the Phillies, you knew the Phillies were going to make an attempt to re-sign him at all. And listen, man, like the Phillies are most certainly going to rely on um, their top three minor leaguers: Andrew Painter, Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford.
Mhm.
Aiden Miller again. So I don't know if you find this interesting at all. I kind of do. So last year, Justin Crawford was the youngest everyday player in AAA.
Yeah.
Aiden Miller most likely will be starting off the season with the Iron Pigs. He was called up to AAA near the end of last year. Same kind of path as Justin Crawford. He's also probably going to be the youngest player in AAA again as well.
Mhm.
Andrew Painter played in AAA last year. If I recall, Michael, Andrew Painter is also very young himself, if I'm not mistaken. 22 years old. He will also be one of the youngest players in AAA as well. So the few like basically like the quote unquote reinforcements for the Phillies for the next couple years, they're just a call up away from being in the major leagues, Michael. So I
Yeah,
think
like, it's true that the Phillies are at a point of, like, needing to blend the 2 eras here. Like, they need to blend the present and the win now with the future a little bit. Like, they were able to not really have to do that outside of, like, Bryson Stott, and, like, I guess if you call Alec Bohm part of that, but he was, like both those guys are, like, in their very much age prime right now. So, like, started off being in their, early age prime, while also not being asked to be, like, the stars of the team. Crawford is, like, if I had to guess, probably gonna be on the opening day roster, right? And, is just gonna be, like, he's gonna hit ninth, I'm sure, and if he can be a useful bat and, like, a solid enough glove, it's gonna be a legitimate push for them, and, like, if Andrew Painter can come up and pitch you, think of what Mick Abel was able to do stabilizing the rotation for a handful of starts. If Painter can do that over, like, multiple months of the season, that's gonna be really exciting. Could be a weapon out of the bullpen come to play, like, something like that. Miller, more of a pipe dream. I think he's gonna spend most of the year in AAA, if not all of it, but if he's tearing the cover off the ball and, you're like, we want him up sooner rather than later, and Bohm's having a crap year, like, that could be a switch. Or if you want him up here and everyone's kinda playing well, you're like, "Alright, we're starting to play Aiden Miller in left field and seeing what we have with him, because if we can just get him to stick, that bat needs to come up." Like, you're gonna start seeing potentially things like that, but Crawford and Painter are, like, almost guaranteed to both play for the Phillies this season. Um, they wanna inject some youth into the team. They want to have the youth shoulder some responsibility. Obviously, they're not gonna be the most important bats on the team or pitchers or arms on the team, but like you said, over the next few years, those guys hopefully are gonna step into roles of everyday players and being productive, being helpful, as, you know, Schwarber, Harper, Turner, and, like, I guess JT too, as they continue to age. And obviously we expect the play to slowly decline. But yeah, so the youth's in there. It's available. There's probably one more move, a couple. I would say a couple more moves. I do still think they need to acquire a low end, like a back end starter, and then a platoon bat, and they'll probably be content. Like, really, really content. So yeah, stove was hot, not super hot for the Phillies, but it was definitely a nice flurry of heat. We'll
all
keep an eye
right.
on it.
Well, let's shift in the NFL, buddy.
Yeah, so nice week of divisional games. 3 out of 4 games were entertaining. One was pretty horrible to watch. Didn't watch a ton of it after it got to a certain point. Um, but to open us up, the Buffalo Bills. lost again in dramatic fashion again to the Denver Broncos this time, a new opponent beating them. 33-30 in overtime final score. Really a crazy game. Just crazy moments back and forth, big turnovers, controversial calls that I think were all correct. You know,
Yes. Yeah, I would say when in terms of
let's
controversial
get that
calls.
out of the way, the ref stuff.
So the Brandon Cooks almost catch, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah, it just wasn't a catch. Like, that's getting a lot of attention. But the fact of the matter is it wasn't a catch, man. He didn't catch it. You can screenshot and slow-mo all you want. You're not gonna convince me, and you're not gonna convince anyone, I think, with an actual brain and understanding of how football works to say it's a catch, because it's not a catch, and, like, anyone who says otherwise, I'm genuinely questioning. Um, because, John, let's just say let's say the same scenario happens. Cooks gathers it, falls to the ground, hits the ground, and then say the D-back, instead of just stealing it out of his hands, say the ball went as soon as it went into the D-back's hands, it went flying into the air and it fell to the ground. No one for a second would say, "Oh, that's a catch and a fumble." No, we'd all be saying, or a catch down by no, we'd all be saying it's an incomplete pass because the ball, he didn't survive the ground. In this scenario, it's not the ground, but it's the Broncos defender, and he didn't roll 3 times. It was like immediately as he hit the ground, the ball was coming out into the hands of the defender. So I thought it was pretty clear to be an interception when I saw it the first time. I thought all the replays, I was like, "Yeah, it's a pick. I mean, what are we doing here?" Um, but obviously, a lot of people associated with the Buffalo Bills, fans and media members and owners alike, all think it was a horrible, horrible call. But that was the right call, as do I think not the first pass interference, but it didn't matter because there was a correct roughing the passer called. But I do also think the second pass interference was pass interference. What do you think?
Uh the PIs I thought.
The first
Yeah,
one was brutal, I think. It was not a good
yeah.
call.
And honestly, to me, Michael, I feel like if you're it's like we see this in hockey postseason too. When you're gonna let the guys play, you can't find something that you didn't call before, and then you let the game almost be decided by it in a way.
I listen, I don't disagree with this sentiment at all.
However, you should never put yourself in that position to let the officials dictate the end of the game.
Yeah. And it's also like, while we can get frustrated and be like, "God, that really sucks," because where do our minds go? To Super Bowl 57, yeah, James Bradbury held, it's not a question, but it's just frustrating because we felt that the game was not called, like, super tightly like that, like, they were letting them play, and then the big moment, it goes against you, and you're like, "God, that just really sucks." But if you wanna sit there and be like, "Well, it was the wrong call," it's just you're wrong, you're
It's
whining
the
or
right
upset.
call. To me,
Yes.
it's like in hockey when like they're beating the crap out of each other, and then you just see a guy go like this, like with his stick, like quick,
Yeah.
like, and you're like, oh, cross checking, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're letting them beat the crap out of each other. Now you decide you want to call cross checking at this juncture of the game. That's
Yes,
where like
and that's
that's
what
where
that
I,
was.
and I and plus like Sean Payton all game was in that ref's ear complaining about the contact, and then he finally got the call.
Yeah, it's just like it was the right call. Sucks that it happened at the time. No one wants to see a game end like that. Players don't wanna have it like, none of it.
I
But
think
the
it's
fact
more
of the matter is
egregious
it
if
was a
I think
penalty.
it's more egregious if let's say in the play where I'm just gonna say like I don't know Christian Bedford literally like yanked Marvin Mims down clearly before the ball landed and they don't call pass interference.
That's what I'm saying, like, it's the Saints no call in the Rams game that everyone cries about, even though the Saints had, like, 10 other opportunities to win the game, but regardless, um, it's the same thing where that would get highlighted where it's like, if you're a Bronco fan, all they're gonna be tweeting is, like, how they were robbed, and you would look at it and be like, ultimately, yes, that's a penalty. Like, he was grabbed, Tre'Davious White grabbed him, was dragging him down, was all over him well before the ball got there. It was simply just a penalty. But
Well,
that part aside, there's a football side to it.
well,
Josh Allen did
I was
not
going to
play
say
well.
we're burying what's in journalism what you call burying the lead.
Yeah, Josh Allen did not play well in the game. He made some great plays, he made some great throws. Absolutely, he always sorta does. But this time, he made a lot of negative plays, and they absolutely outweighed the positives, no doubt about it. Turnovers, missed throws, underthrows, overthrows, all of it. Like, it was pretty blatant. The couple really egregious ones that I don't think any of the interceptions were, like, super egregious. One was thrown up into double coverage, that was just a bad decision, and it wasn't open, got picked, but, like, in terms of real crux of the game stuff, he had, I would say, 3 really bad plays. One gets that doesn't get talked about is there was a corner route to Mecole Hardman who was so insanely wide open that it could have been a really huge play, um, which like, could have very well been the play right before, the interception. I do want to double check, when I look into overtime. Uh, yeah, yeah, it was. That's I knew it was. 2nd and 11, Josh Allen passes incomplete to Mecole Hardman. It was like the Tony is up there saying, "Oh, when you don't work with a guy and your timing's wrong," and Josh is expecting him to cut that route short and he
Just
drifts
make the
upfield a
damn
little bit.
throw.
He's wide open. It's not like he totally ran the wrong route, and he was so wide open that all you gotta do is just put a
It's
little
not
bit of
like
air
DJ
on.
Moore dogging that route at the end of the anyway. We'll get to that
No,
later.
and, like, but even then, it's like that throw was less open than what Josh Allen had for Hardman. That throw was wide open that you could have put air under it and no corner was gonna or safety was gonna break it up, like, it was that open. That throw leads to 3rd and 11, which leads to you pushing the deep ball to Brandon Cooks, which leads to the interception, and, like, that was a huge play for me that doesn't get talked about at all, and the 2 other ones that get talked about a lot. The fumble at the end of the half. What are your thoughts there?
I'm Michael. That's just like one of the dumbest plays I've watched all season. That's like a Will Levis type turnover.
Who threw an interception at the end of the half this year? Was it Stroud or Davis Mills, or was it, like, you know what I'm talking about? But it was, like, against the Colts, uh, under, like, a minute inside their own 15, and there was, like, a long pass to sideline that got intercepted, and it led to Colts points. I really think it was, like, Davis Mills. But yeah, it was definitely one of the dumbest plays. I mean, Sirianni being totally vindicated for all of his times just running the ball at the end of halves with timeouts and time, for like that. Like, Sean McDermott was pissed, totally called it out at halftime. He said, "We had a play where if it's there, throw it. If not, throw it away, and gotta protect the football." Like, that's what he said, and that was very much Josh admitting that we had a play called where if it's not there, just throw it out of bounds. And Josh Allen wanted to throw on the Superman cape and make a big play, and he fumbled, and it led directly to a Broncos field goal. Um, didn't it seem like he was trying to lateral the ball? Like he was
That's what
holding it out,
he was
like he
clearly
wanted to
trying to
throw it.
lateral the ball because we've seen the Bills do this a lot. They had that little like
Yeah,
hook
they
and
were
ladder
hooking ladders
and hook
or
and
hooking
ladder play they
laterals.
like to
Yeah,
run.
lateral.
Remember last year against the Niners when they just completely decimated them. They ran that kind of like that lateral back to
Yeah,
Josh Allen.
there's been a lot. And Josh Allen, like, it just was so reminiscent to what he did in his first ever playoff game against the Texans, where he was running, was getting hit, and he tried to throw it to Knox or whatever right on the sideline, and it got knocked out of bounds. Where it was like he was kind of looking over his shoulder, looking for someone to get the ball to, but no one was there except for linemen. And obviously, the offensive lineman not recovering the fumble, I'd be so upset if I was a Bills fan at that. But you just can't fumble in that spot. You start to get going, you have a nice little run, and you just, like, literally just need to hold the ball, man. You aren't gonna run
Yeah,
for
the
40
issue,
yards.
yeah, and like I mean, James Cook had a bad fumble.
He did too, yes, that was
Like to
killer.
me, it was like to me for the Bills in that game, it was like I think they thought they were going to go up to Mile High and handily beat them because I think they bought into like their own hype. I think to a certain extent, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I don't think you could say, Michael. We people complain about the Bills receivers not being great. I've made jokes that the Bills have
I mean, they're
seven,
not good.
like they're not good, but you can't say like the Bills receivers were the reason that they lost this game.
No, not this game. It's more of like a encompassing reason on why they don't succeed and why their best years were with Stefan Diggs. But like, it's tough not having a guy who can get
Like
open.
if
But
they had like a
this
Puka Nakua to just bail Josh Allen out, like he bails out Matt Stafford when he goes like those like 2 for 12 runs middle
right,
of games.
right. Like,
Like sure, I agree with that.
but
But
this game's on Josh Allen, man. Like, it's
yeah,
just
it is
flat
on
out
him.
like. And then obviously the last big mistake that he had was overthrowing Dawson Knox, what would have been the game-winning touchdown, like, forced the Broncos to a field goal, down 3, and had the ball. It was there. The game was there to win, and he just threw it high to Dawson Knox. He sailed it a little bit. Would have been a walk-in touchdown, and the
It does
game
feel like when
probably been
Josh
over.
Allen plays either equal or better opponents and he has to make plays, he just makes too many mistakes or
Well,
doesn't
I
completely.
don't know, and not every time. I do think he turns the ball over too much, but usually he kinda overcomes it, and, like, this time he just really wasn't able
Well, yeah,
to.
you can overcome it against bad teams. You can't overcome it against good teams.
No, but, like, when you leave the field with 13 seconds against Kansas City and you can't, how many times did he put them ahead, doesn't touch the ball in overtime? Like,
Yeah, but dude, how long ago was that?
it was 2021,
That's
right?
5 years ago, man.
Well, when you put it like that. It was quite a long time ago, but, like, last year, some try that listen, I hear you, I don't disagree. Last year, we didn't love the Bills' play calling at all, um, but it's this one he deserves a lot of blame for, and he's getting a lot of sympathy for it, but it was very much his fault, like, he
Well,
made
yeah,
a lot
and
of
he got his
mistakes.
coach killed.
Yeah, so the, uh, byproduct of this is now Sean McDermott is out of a job and is been fired from the Buffalo Bills, and it just feels like they fired the wrong guy. We have our issues with Sean McDermott as, like, decision making. He's the defensive guy. The defense has sucked for a while, but ultimately, he has won a lot of games, and I do think he provides value. And he's being the fall guy for the biggest culprit in this whole operation, which is absolutely the general manager. Brandon Beane is just not good, and they had a disaster press conference today where Pagula was running his mouth about the refs and Keon Coleman just totally saying it was all the coaching staff that wanted Keon Coleman
Yeah,
and we
by the
didn't
way,
like
throwing
him.
Keon Coleman under the bus while he's still employed by the Bills.
Yeah, just it's a
Not a
disaster
good look.
class. It's like it's so bad that it's almost making me think they're gonna suck next year. Like, it's just such bad vibes at the moment, and it's crazy they kept the GM. I'm really shocked that they didn't fire McDermott and the
Dude,
GM.
what kind of gift of gab does Joe Shane and Brandon Bean possess where they could convince the owner? See, this is you want to hear my theory behind that? I think John Mara looks at like a Joe Shane and Terry Pagula, whatever, looks at like Brandon Bean, like, oh, he reminds me so much of my son. I can't get rid of him. Where you look at like Dable and like McDermott, they're like, oh, they're like Cro-Magnons essentially, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely feels weird because Brandon Bean, the biggest stat that I saw since he drafted Josh Allen back in 2018, they've only drafted two Pro Bowlers, being Dawson Knox and now
Who's a backup
James
tight
Cook.
end?
Yeah, and he's like the fourth highest paid tight end in the league, by the way, and maybe the second, to be honest with you. And James Cook was the other one, and it's like, or Dion Dawkins. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, like weapons or skill
The Bills
position.
aren't good at drafting.
They're a horrible drafting team. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And
They make
you know,
bad free agent decisions, overpaying for Von Miller.
yeah, and your defense sucking. Like you haven't been able to draft well defensively in a while, and you're seeing the issues with that. And you haven't been able to effectively replace Stephon Diggs, especially with the draft. You invest the high draft pick in Keon Coleman, and he's not working out. Um, and the Bills, they desperately need a top receiver. Like it's not that, oh, Josh Allen can't handle it, but it's like you're just asking for a lot of perfection if you want to succeed, and Josh Allen was far from it, and you lost the game because of it, but you saw how far from perfection he was and how close they still were to winning. Like, he does provide so much value in that regard where you get a great receiver that can bail out some of those mistakes, like you said, like a guy that can just go up and get a ball, or a guy that can consistently win against man coverage and is just open all the time. I'm almost certain to say that the Bills are gonna be in a better position and be in a spot where they
You know
can
what? You know
go to
what?
the
This
Super
and
Bowl.
honestly, like the Josh Allen glazing slash PR, like the PR tour. You
Mhm.
know, I'll say this, Michael, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this or not. When Josh Allen cost them a game, and everyone goes on PR and say it's not Josh Allen's fault. Poor Josh Allen. No, Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen. The other 52 guys on that Bills team, you can't deny that there's gonna be a lot of resentment towards him where it's like this this
I
guy's
don't
going out
know.
this guy's going out here making backwards laterals. That's what cost them the game.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll
Like
create resentment in the
I gotta
locker
listen
room.
to Jalen Hurts fumbling in the Super Bowl when he had like one of the greatest games, best games ever by a quarterback in a Super Bowl. Saying, "Oh, that's the reason they lost,"
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And then like Josh
yeah,
Allen is literally, is like accidentally hits the left bumper button on his controller, doing backwards laterals like a moron.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No,
that's the
it's
thing. Like,
I listen, I agree. That's the frustrating part as a fan, for sure. But when you look at it, it's just it is interesting because everything gets escalated, and I don't think the end result of this is poor Josh Allen. I think it's Josh Allen cost you the game. But I do think so many people got ahead of their skis saying, "Well, he has to make the Super Bowl because no Mahomes, no Lamar," when, like, the real reality is that the Bills team that exists for this season
aren't
is
good.
just not that good. Like, we knew it wasn't that good. Them losing in dramatic fashion due to Josh Allen, probably not the way we guessed they would lose. We probably assumed they would lose because, you know, the team really just let him down. But the fact of the matter is that he let them down, and it's both things can be true at once. It can be true that the Bills weren't that good and we're probably not
And
going to
look,
make
the
the
Bills
Super Bowl.
defense in this game, FYI, did not play well. I
No, of
will not.
course not. So
They did
it's
not
like,
play well. I do think though, handing Denver extra possessions. Bro, like Bo Nix had a higher QBR this game than Josh Allen. That's a
yeah,
problem. That's a
yeah.
problem. Like you sat here for months railing on Bo Nix. He technically outplayed Josh Allen in this game, didn't he?
Uh, yeah. I mean, the the Allen definitely made more negative plays. I didn't think Knicks played like particularly well, to be completely honest with
No, he
you. I thought
didn't.
he
I'm just
was,
saying. In other words, that's bad. Like,
yeah, yeah. So Bills are out. Josh Allen is out.
and
Who else
honestly,
is
dude,
out? Oh,
man, like I got the box score pulled up. Obviously, we both watched the game. Josh Allen lost two fumbles. Jay, like 5 total turnovers for the Bills. Dude, like Cortland Sutton had 4 catches for 53 yards. How many drops did Cortland Sutton have in this game where they had to go and punt afterwards?
I mean, I only
At
remember
least
like the
2.
one, but yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like Marvin Mims, 8 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. But dude, I like Michael. I like Marvin Mims. I think Marvin Mims is a underrated player. He's definitely one of those receivers where if you had a better quarterback, you'd probably have better stats and more people would talk about him, right?
sure,
So they get cooked by him, is my point.
yeah,
Like that defense
yeah,
stinks.
yeah.
But
No,
it
it's a
stinks,
bad
but
unit.
I think it stinks not because the scheme is atrocious and they're underutilizing the current players. It's just bad because it's just bad. Like
Yeah, it's not good players. Well, listen, it's the GM. I really think they made a mistake there. But who's also, the other big storyline with this game is Bo Nix broke his ankle. Uh, no one's really sure when. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it was definitely this. Oh, it must have been this." But like, the
I don't
truth
think
is,
he
you
broke
really
his
can't
ankle doing
tell.
a kneel down. I'll say that.
You just can't tell when he broke his ankle. But Bo Nix broke his ankle out for the season, and that'll usher in Jarrett Stidham to be the quarterback for the one seed representative Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship game. And I'll be honest, like, not to fully get into the game, but to just look at the outlook, it's got to be pretty bleak for Denver because they already can't run the ball. Like, Bo Nix was their leading rusher this game. And if you're going to have a guy that hasn't played football in quite a long time and is not very good, you're just gonna need a better running game. It's not people are like, "Oh, Foles," and I get it. Foles didn't look good in the Falcons game, it didn't look in the Raiders game,
Well, Nick
whatever.
Foles was more accomplished in his
Yes,
career.
Nick Foles has multiple reasons to be in the Hall of Fame, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, um, 7 touchdown game, led a really good Eagles team in 2013. Um, Just simply had a lot of success, had a career winning record as a starter, like, a lot of reasons to be like, "You know what? This guy could catch fire." Was drafted to be a starter, was a starter for a good period of time in this league. This is not that guy. This is not like who's a backup that's currently in the league that's probably this is not Jameis Winston, this is not, um, even Russell Wilson, like, guys that we know are just were really good at some point
Yeah,
and
this was
has the
Joe
ability.
Flacco. I think you feel somewhat better
This
about
is
it.
not Marcus Mariota, like, there are guys that this could have been comparable to, but it's Jarrett Stidham. It almost couldn't be worse, like, it almost couldn't be worse, actually. Um
Didn't Jared Stidham like light up the preseason though?
That actually means nothing. Like, that cannot mean something. Like, you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
It
I don't
doesn't
know. Like,
matter.
dude, I know. I just like
And we'll talk about the game more, but I really think this is a brutal blow for the Broncos, and I
you
don't
know what's
think that
crazy though too is like whenever a team in the situation the Broncos are in plays the backup QB, it feels like that team more often than not wins.
well, yeah, I mean, it's not like
Like I'm not calling Case Keenum like the backup QB because I feel like in 2017 he played like
mm,
most of the season.
yeah, he was their starter after Bradford got hurt in
Like
the preseason, right?
yeah, like this like I don't know, man. Like it does feel like um listen, we'll talk more about the game too. J.K. Dobbins' practice windows opened up. He's pushing to play Sunday. That might be the most important player on the Broncos offense because their offense took a nosedive as soon as he was out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's just gonna be tough. We'll talk about more about the game going into it in the weekend,
I
but
think
let's
we should talk about
let's
the well, the utter annihilation of the San Francisco 49ers at the hands of the number 1 seed in the NFC, Michael, maybe the best team in football, you know, entering the playoffs, the Seattle Seahawks. Michael, it felt very cathartic for me after Brock Purdy cost me the fantasy championship, and I had to watch him beat my favorite football team the week prior for him to go out and get just get his butt handed to him on a silver platter by the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Seahawks are reminding me a lot of the Eagles of last year. They really, really are. Uh, Not like requiring the pass game to be cooking on all cylinders, leaning on the running game, and then just having like a historic defense. Um, Obviously, even the Eagles' playoff run didn't start as smoothly. They grinded through the Packer game, obviously sweated out the Ram game before they just took off and dominated the rest of the way. But Seattle coming out the gate, in a game that I
Steve
really
Snead ran the opening kickoff back.
yeah, right, right. Like the
You know,
stadium was so loud.
dude, it reminded me a lot of when the Eagles played the Giants in 2022, where people talked about the underdog, like, don't discount don't discount the Giants, don't discount the Niners.
I mean, yeah, yeah. This felt like, I mean, the Shaheed play that felt like Super Bowl 43 or whatever. Is that what it was? Denver, Seattle, whatever that Super Bowl was.
First, whoever runs the
Snap
kickoff back.
snap over. Well, yeah, but the snap over Manning's head, like to start the game, it really just set the tone for what was about to come. The way Shaheed's touchdown set the tone for what was about to come. Um, yeah, like the Niners. I was listening to Theo talk about this. He was really funny. He's like, I tried to be nice after the Niners beat the Eagles, but I have to be honest that the truth is that I didn't see anything on film from the Niners offense or defense that gave me any sort of hope that they had a smithering of a chance to beat the Seahawks. He's like, I thought they did nothing well against the Eagles. I just think the Eagles did not play a good game at all. And I mean, you saw that the Niners couldn't do anything successfully. They were trying to be aggressive. They, tried to get fancy,
Yeah,
didn't work, and
it felt like after they beat the Eagles, and you heard like Robert Saleh crowing about it, and Shanahan was talking about it. It felt like, oh, we got revenge for losing to them when Purdy hurt his elbow, and now we got to play the Seahawks, and they were
yeah,
just
like we can be sour. Like it's true, we can be a little sour grapes about it. But I think the fact of the matter is that when the injuries really started to pile up for San Francisco, and they didn't get the 1 seed, it really just felt like they had 1 game in them. If they were the 1 seed and they woulda had a bye and they're, "Oh, we just have 1 game in them," get you to the conference championship game at home, that is a significantly different story than, you know, going on the road, defending Super Bowl champions, and going in there and pulling off the big upset. That is absolutely like a man, what a great game that was. That was the equivalent. I also heard this comp. That's the equivalent to the 15 seed beating the 2 seed and then going to play like the 8 seed in the next round or whatever it is, and or the 7 seed. And everyone's like in college basketball, if I never said that, but like the 15 upsets the 2 and everyone's like, "Well, they just beat the 2. They can absolutely beat the 7 now." And then they go and get railed. And I think it was like, "They just beat the defending Super Bowl champs. They can definitely go beat Sam Darnold." That was like I think that side of people's ideas, especially with, "Oh, what's Darnold's injury looking like?" I think people were very much all in on the Niners when the fact of the matter is they were a lot worse than the team that they beat, and they're a lot worse than the team that they're playing, even if it seems as though they're not as good, and they got railed because of it. That was very much similar to a college basketball little Cinderella. Like it's just they had no chance. They got smothered.
I agree. What I find intriguing about this game is that, um, you know, Michael, I think we may have been wrong when we were talking. Because this is why my comment kind of bleeds into the next game. We were talking about a certain Texas football team as being like the 2000 Ravens. I think this Seahawks team, their defense is legit. Like it's really good, not historic, but very good. Like it could carry them to the Super Bowl. Like
Yeah,
Darnold,
I think it's the Eagles mold, like, I really do. Their running game
well,
is very
Jalen Hurts
good.
is a better quarterback than Sam
Of
Darnold.
course, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they don't it's not that the levels of skill, it's more the not needing the passing game to put together winning formulas. And, like, they just didn't. Darnold didn't throw much. He didn't need to,
I
because
do
they were
think
running it so well.
I do think that though the difference between Seattle and I think maybe like last year's Eagles team is that they were aggregating a rushing attack, and now that Charbonnet is done, Kenneth Walker had a big game, but Michael,
And
we'll
Kenneth
talk
Walker
about
looked
it. We'll talk
awesome
about
as
it
the
this
bell cow.
weekend. I do think that we'll see how that fares against LA. Let's just go into the next game, Michael. The New England Patriots host the Houston Texans, and Michael. Wow, the big story out of this game, CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
totally.
defend I'm going to defend CJ Stroud here for a second. I'm not saying he didn't play bad because my god, he most certainly played bad. But when you compare him to some of the other quarterbacks that played bad, why is he the one that's getting totally clowned and not as much as, say, Josh or Caleb? Or how Drake May didn't play all that well either in this game. He just screwed
No,
up.
Drake May did not play well at all, but he made again, it was similar, to Bo Nix, Josh Allen, not as dramatic, but it was like both quarterbacks didn't play well, but one quarterback was able to kind of make a few more big plays, and this was it. Drake May put the ball on the ground like 5 times, but only lost it, what, once? And that is a very lucky way to live and definitely not a sustainable way. It's things like that that make me hesitate on this game upcoming. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but you can't bank on fumbling the ball 5 times and not getting hurt by it more than you did, um, against Houston. Like, it was it was just not good. He it's imp I literally talked about last week how it's important to have the ability to stand in there around the pressure because that's how you make really big time throws and big time plays. And Drake May's great at that. But this was him standing around too much and started fumbling. He couldn't stop fumbling. Like it was like Daniel Jones level of holding the ball too long. How do you not feel the pressure? But I think he was just trying to test it and make throws under pressure, and ultimately, it just had a bad internal clock and was getting banged a lot. It was
He had a
not
bad
good.
internal clock, and also too, Will Campbell, great rookie year. We talk about this though with rookies. We saw it Jalen Carter's rookie year. Might have hit the rookie wall because my goodness, Will Anderson Jr. Man, I think
Yeah,
I sent you the text, dude. I'm like, if there's a guy right now that could be the closest to being as much of a game destroyer like Miles Garrett right now,
yeah.
I'm gonna take Will Anderson over everybody else besides Garrett, obviously.
Yeah, it's up there with Garrett, or it's up there with Anderson and, like, Parsons for
I would
me.
guess.
Yeah, but besides that, yeah, it's definitely a game wrecker, total game wrecker, was wrecking the game, was playing so well while CJ Stroud was playing so bad
If CJ
that
Stroud, if they just found some sort of way to win that game, then we would be like, oh my god, Will Anderson could be the next Miles Garrett. That's the
yeah,
storyline.
yeah, yeah, Will Anderson was playing so well, and CJ Stroud was playing so bad that it led to D'Amico Ryans electing to punt on 4th down with 4 minutes to go, down 2 possessions, because he genuinely felt that he had a better chance to forcing a fumble with his defense than converting this 4th down and moving the ball down the field. Like, legitimately, in that moment, probably figured, "We have better odds to create a turnover." than to actually play offense at the moment. And Stroud was bad, man. It just flat out was terrible. Like eh, it was shocking how bad he was because like all of a sudden is horrible, like really bad under pressure, and it's not even that all the decisions were atrocious, although a lot of them were, but, like, the throws were just bad. He played so bad against the Steelers. I think we all believed it would have been impossible to play as bad, and he might have played worse. The weather definitely played a little bit of a factor, I'm sure, but the fact of the matter is the throws were just so wildly inaccurate. Like, it
Well,
was
CJ
really
Stroud
bad.
didn't exactly play in great weather in college. It wasn't like he played at like the University of Texas, and now he's playing an outdoor game he's not really used to, and then it's
No,
like,
but, since he definitely got into the pros, he's definitely not played outside a ton, and, like, he said it, he hates playing outside, and those are that's it right there, man, that is it.
oh, he said he
It
hates playing cold weather.
he they there was a question, it was like, "If you could make any rule change in the NFL, what would you do?" And the first thing he said was or make any change, not even rule change, any change in the NFL, what would you do? And he was like, "Require all teams in cold parts of the country to have a dome." Like, that was something that was the first thing he said in terms of how he could change the NFL. So, like, clearly hates it. Um,
You think he's just
and
not mentally tough?
just some guys don't like playing it, and, like,
Well,
if
no,
that's what
I
that
don't mean
means,
the
then
cold. I
yeah.
mean like playoffs because
No, because he's played, like, well before. I just think he got very ahead of his skis after a really good rookie year, and oh, John.
no, sorry.
Uh He got way ahead of his skis, after his rookie year. John, do you wanna turn your camera off for a sec? You're
Sorry,
checking something
yeah.
out?
Something got hit my back of my sorry. Uh
There you go. Oh, good, just regardless.
no, I'm
There
good.
you go.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Stroud, like, played so well his rookie year and just playing so far from it, it just feels like it's valid to question his future in Houston. It was something Ryan Clark brought up at halftime that, like, "You need to play better because this could be it." These are the type of games and type of environments of, um, you know, what we make decisions on based on who we keep long term, and if you're gonna spend your rookie contract not playing super well in playoff games when we're gonna make the playoffs a lot because we have a great defense and you're kinda wasting it, then, like, it's not gonna be worth it to give that guy a second contract, and if I were the Texans, I would definitely pick up the fifth-year option, I'd say, because I think uh, it's worth it, I don't think that's super it's not, like, debilitatingly expensive, and it's worth it to see if you can help fix him with, like, a new OC and whatnot, but I definitely would have hesitations on giving him a long-term contract the way he played. It's unacceptable, and the fall off from grace is also, um, it's not good. It's not encouraging. So they definitely need a new OC to try to help things out. They should try to beef up that offensive line, obviously, but also the receiving core could use a little bit of help too. Them
Well,
recruiting
I'm gonna
well.
defend the reason I also want to kind of defend that Texans offense. I mean, realistically, you look at the Patriots, their first two games, you could make the argument they're having like a cakewalk to the Super Bowl. I mean, devastated O line of the Chargers, devastated receiving core for the Texans. No quarterback against Denver. Um, and I disagree with that. By the way, I feel like you play who you play. But man, like, do you think with how bad Stroud looked, would Nico Collins have made a difference? I'm not sure. Like,
It's hard to say for sure because the game was still
because Christian
close-ish,
Gonzalez would have probably followed him throughout the game.
but that would have made other things better. I thought Gonzalez played really well, but like, no, it definitely would have been different. But the fact of the matter is that I don't know if CJ Stroud had a few plays in him the way that Drake May did. Drake May made some really tremendous
Yeah.
throws for some touchdowns and some big plays, and ultimately that was it. Like, he didn't play well, but he made a few big plays, and that's all you need sometimes. That was the MO for how the Texans could win a Super Bowl. Play great defense and a few things go your way and all things are happy. But unfortunately, didn't go that way for them. New England back in the conference championship. So that will be the first game. And then setting up the night game, we'll have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the LA Rams. They defeated the Chicago Bears also in overtime, 20-17. And the Bears get eliminated in a similar way to the way the Bills got eliminated. Little more dramatic, little more theatrical, and just a really tough loss to swallow. I'd be really upset as a Bears fan. It's such a hard loss to take. Uh, I think my biggest takeaway from this game is that Ben Johnson, while being super valuable to the Bears this season, and obviously a huge part as to why they had such great success, felt like the biggest reason why their season came to an end. Doesn't it feel that way? I think the general play calling of not utilizing Caleb Williams's legs intentionally as much really hindered their ceiling. I really do think it capped their ceiling. He treated Caleb Williams like he was Jared Goff with the amount of straight drop back, quick pass game like that. And it's a knowing fact about Caleb Williams at the moment is that his down to down, play to play accuracy can be varied in structure. And it can have some issues. And it did have some issues throughout this game. It had some issues throughout the season. It's not like this came up out of nowhere. Where he has excelled pretty much exclusively is out of the pocket, throwing on the run, getting on the move, and making big plays that way. I think they could have ran bootlegs with Caleb Williams and kind of just killed teams with that, with him running, with him making great throws. And I think Ben Johnson running the offense as if it was being ran by Jared Goff and not some freak athlete with great legs and a stronger arm, it hurt them. It really did hurt them. I think as much as Caleb Williams needs to get better with, the accuracy and whatnot, I do think Ben Johnson needs to get better at
Well, dude,
calling
they had
that
they
are
had
suited
several.
for him.
They really struggled on short yardage downs,
Yeah. 'Cause a
and
lot of it
they
was yeah, go ahead.
and I thought that they just telegraphed what they were doing.
Mhm.
And you look at this Rams team. Listen, dude, like, uh, the reason why everyone thought that this Rams team was the most complete team isn't just the players, it's the coaching.
Yeah.
Chris Shula's talked about as being a future head coach. Listen, we all know about Sean McVay, how great of a coach he is as well, getting his team prepared. Listen, man, like Ben Johnson, we know Ben Johnson loves going for it on fourth down, but like you just said too, they called they had one sequence of plays, or I think they called the same rushing play like three times in a row, and it got stuffed all three times. It's
Yeah,
like,
they run a lot of run, 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 and it just got predictable what they were gonna do on short yardage runs, under center, handoff, um, you know, and it just like off tackle, and it just wasn't working. It just was not working consistently. The Rams knew it was coming multiple times and just got downhill immediately and made plays. And I think the short yardage that's your opportunity to use Caleb's legs to your advantage. Call a zone read or something. Put a guy in conflict where he has to choose to dive hard on the dive or be able to tackle Caleb Williams in space. And that's just really hard to do. Um, and I think it's like that's the stuff we would have saw out of the Lions because we know Goff's limited in that way. And I just think that you need to like it was like playing with one hand tied behind your back. And
yeah, I
ultimately
agree. It
Caleb
would be like
Williams
if
made
the
too many
Bills
mistakes.
told Josh Allen, "You're not allowed to run."
Right, it just doesn't make sense.
I agree.
I
I
will
did.
say I wanna talk about the play before we talk about the Rams, the 4th down or was it 4th down? Yeah, yeah, it was. It was
Which
4th
play?
down and 10 the touchdown, the game-tying
Yeah, that
touchdown.
was one of the most insane touchdowns I've ever seen.
Yeah, to be able to run straight backwards, getting chased, and to throw a ball that's just somewhat in the realm of a good throw, and shout out Cole Kmet, did pretty much like, a guy that was cold all game, did not play, but Colston Loveland got hurt late in the game, had to come on and made a couple nice plays on that, in the game. Um, but they're running in the end zone and just kind of boxing out like he's getting a rebound to the way he was, like, kinda arm barring the corner where it was not a push off. He did not push. He was already, like,
They were
extended in hand
jostling for
fighting
position.
and then very comfortably and casually looked like he moved off and got his hands to make a great play. It was really spectacular and laughably insane how bad the corner played it, I thought. It's not like it was a
Well, that same
you know
corner had the play of the game.
well, that was Kobe Durant, right? That got
That is
burned. That
correct.
wasn't yeah, yeah. Well, Cam Curl had the big interception.
Well, didn't Kobe Durant on that kind of force the interception though on that play at the end of the in overtime?
Well, I mean, that was more just DJ Moore not running his route. Cam Curl made a great play on that, diving for that and jumping it, but I do wanna talk about, well, I guess we should talk about Caleb's mistakes. Caleb's mistakes are his accuracy's off, and, uh, had turnovers because of it, had some missed throws because of it, and unfortunately, DJ Moore kinda dogging it on that last route, not cutting it off as short to
Kobe
give
Durant
himself
had
a
two
chance.
interceptions in that game, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So he did, obviously made a huge impact. Um, just tough, man. It just really just like because if DJ Moore runs the route like it seems like we all think he should have, it's not saying it gets caught for like a huge play, but it just probably doesn't get intercepted. Like it more likely than not is not getting picked off. And he just kind of was not expecting the ball and then drifted upfield. It was just brutal.
Well,
It
didn't
really,
correct
really
me if
was.
I'm wrong. Didn't DJ Moore like they thought he was being evaluated for a concussion at the during that game?
I don't remember that, but it just wasn't. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not to say, oh, if he was concussed, but like, it hasn't come out that he has a concussion. Like, he was fine, so he needs to just not do that. And it's not the first time he's done stuff like that. Um,
Well, I
I,
mean, listen, like apparently DJ this was DJ Moore's first season in the NFL and going back to college where he was on a winning team.
yeah, yeah, and just wasn't ideal situation for the Bears. But
I
I want to
rewatched
talk
that
about
play.
the.
I rewatched
Oh,
that interception that Caleb threw. It looked like he was like the designed receiver. Like that looks like if that was like a Lions play, like that's like going to like Amon Ra.
here, like Jamison Williams, like it's
Well,
just.
Luther Burton was playing the outside was on the outside receiver on that play. He's streaking down the sideline. I kind of wondered. I'm like, if Caleb would have ate it for another second or two, and he was because he's just so good at throwing the ball. Like he might be the best thrower of the football in the NFL, along with like Mahomes, right? Just throwing a football in general, right?
Mhm.
Is pure arm talent. He would have been better served just throwing it to the sideline to Luther Burden and trying to draw a PI or, oh, I'm just gonna live to play for another down as opposed to throwing it in that spot. Because even though DJ Moore dogged it, there's still two defenders there, and like, dude, like I DJ Moore probably played his last down as a Chicago Bear, on that play.
Mhm.
So, like, they probably just don't want to bring him back. We know how much of a psycho Ben Johnson is. I'm sure Ben Johnson is frothing at the mouth to get rid of him and bring in someone through the draft or something like that. Give Luther Burden more reps. Give Roma Dunze more reps. Keep Zacchaeus. I don't know, man. That was tough, dude. And listen, I guess let's talk about the Rams. We talked about the
Yeah,
Bears.
let's get in the Rams.
Um,
I didn't think Sean McVay coached a good game or Matthew Stafford played a good game. I thought Sean McVay was very, very conservative in this game, very, very passive. I texted you he's taken, the Sirianni playbook today, and it's what it felt like, not pushing the ball at the end of regulation. And when they had the lead, running the ball 3 straight times, not giving Stafford a chance to throw for the first, like, all of it was pretty insane to me. Um, Unlike him, it does feel like he's a little more aggressive than that, and he totally was, like, just trying not to lose the game, and ultimately paid out, worked out for him. They were able to get away with the win, but he said he's like, "I gotta be a lot better." Like, he was not good in that game, and he knows he wasn't good in that game. Did not put his team in a good position to succeed, and they came out with the win anyway. So I did not think he coached well, and I didn't
there
think
was
Stafford played well. What'd
when
you think of Stafford?
when I was watching this game with my friends, and
Mhm.
when the Rams got the ball back on 3rd and 6, and they lined up 20 yards off the ball, the Bears.
Mm,
I turned to friend of the show, Mac. I looked at him and said, "This game is over." He's like, "What? It's 3rd down." I'm like, "They're lined up 20 yards off the ball. I will bet you any amount of money Stafford's going to force this ball to Puka, regardless of who's in the area, and they will get the 1st down." What happened?
yeah, 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 definitely.
That is
Um,
coaching malpractice. Like that is like you
well,
you've been
yeah,
you've
yeah,
been
to
pressing the Rams receivers all game. You've held Devontae Adams without a catch for the first like one catch for like 55 minutes. And now all of a sudden, oh, we're gonna play not prevent. It's not wasn't
well,
a
no,
prevent.
because it wasn't prevent because they set the house. Like, it was 0 blitz. That was the problem. Like, teams get passive in ways of just off coverage, and it's happened to the Rams twice now where Carolina got really soft with their coverage, and the Rams were able to pick them apart down the field and put ahead the go-ahead touchdown. And like you said, John, and I they were having a lot of success sending the house on Stafford. They were having a lot of success because Stafford, he's old, he doesn't handle pressure well, and he couldn't really do anything. He did not play a good game. But that blitz was so telegraphed, and Kevin Byard had to make up, like you said, like 15 yards of ground on 3rd and 6 or whatever it was, and it was just it was too telegraphed, too obvious what was going to be done, and it's the stuff you see out of Mahomes and Kelsey where it's like, "Oh, how did no one cover Kelsey? Oh my god." And it's the same thing, "And no one covered Puka." You're sending a blitz, the guy that's supposed to be covering him, which this is the advantage you get by putting your good players inside, by the way, is when you're blitzing, you are taking away the guys closest to the receiver that you wanna throw to. So that slot corner and the linebackers coming, there is no one in that area to your closest receiver, which in this case was Puka Nacua. So he's able to run 2 steps off the ball, get his head around, ready to make a catch, and it's a really tough play for Kevin Byard to make that tackle in open field, and Puka's able to go get a big play out of it and ultimately lead the Rams to win the game. So we saw the Rams struggle. And again, this is falls on McVay, falls on Stafford, falls on the receivers too. They were struggling with that press man coverage. They were having trouble getting separation consistently, and Stafford was not at his peak accuracy um, to subsidize it. And their passing game and offense struggled for most of that game. They only scored 17 points in regulation. It was not a good effort. Um, it was tough.
I do, Michael. I think the zero blitz in that situation, like end of games, I feel like, dude, I think it's a myth that actually works in that situations. You know, like I think yeah, it works against the Oakland. I'm sorry, the Oakland. I think yeah, it works against the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because they suck. It, you know, you don't mean to tell me Matthew Stafford, you know, who's seen that situation dozens of times, knows how to get out of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like the Todd Bowles poison of, like, trying to send the all-out blitz at the end of a game, and it's it's coming. Um, it was unfortunate because I thought the Bears played such a good game defensively, and then you just kinda throw it away with one bad
Well,
play
Dennis Allen, the
decision.
Bears defensive coordinator, Michael, was the reason why the Saints only had one Super Bowl when he was their D coordinator. And they lost lots of playoff games is because of that.
Yeah, yeah, not being able to get a stop when you need it. And that's tough. That is tough. Bears scored, tied the game, had their opportunity in overtime, turned it over, and had opportunities to get off the field and just couldn't do it. And like that's really, really tough. But I do think the Rams can give Seattle a game for sure. I think they can win this game, but I do think they're going to need to play like decisively better than they have the first two playoff games. And it's
I
not to
think a
say
big
that that's
reason for that,
impossible,
Michael,
but
is
that's
because
hard.
I think a big reason for that is because they're not at home. I think
Yeah, three
they
straight road
they
games
played in
in
they played in bad weather in
yeah,
Carolina. They played in even way worse weather in Chicago. And I'm gonna go check my weather app and look at what the weather's gonna be like in Seattle Sunday. But I would
in
imagine,
Seattle, it's
Michael,
gonna be cold. It's gonna
it's
be
not gonna be ideal.
it doesn't seem like it's gonna be too bad in terms of, like, wind and stuff, but it's definitely gonna be cold. Um,
So on
and
Sunday in Seattle, high of 44, low of 33, partially sunny. Might be the best if it doesn't rain. Might be the best weather conditions in a playoff game they had all year.
yeah, yeah,
However, I did see a statistic. Um, teams that played outdoor that play in a dome, which the Rams do, when they have to play an outdoor conference championship game, have never won.
never?
They are 0 and 15 or 0 and 16.
Wow. I can't even begin to really
So when Peyton Manning, when
look
he was
that
with the
up.
Colts, went to the Super Bowl, there were home games.
Yeah, yeah, I could makes sense. Um No, it's true, man. It's a real tough spot for them. I just don't think like obviously they had to use the crazy circumstances in overtime with the fumble thing as to how they lost in Seattle earlier in the season, but the Seahawks are just playing such better ball right now. I don't know what the Rams are going to need to fix a lot of stuff ahead of that game, but that will be saved for more discussion this weekend when a potential blizzard snows us in. So that'll do it for tonight's episode, and we will see you guys this weekend to break down and pick the conference championship. We may have tipped our hand a little bit, but we will break it
Yeah,
down further
I
this
was looking at
weekend.
your messages about a certain Brewers pitcher going to the Mets, and yeah, I'm not happy about that at all.
Yeah,
Not at all. We'll talk about that this weekend.
potentially this weekend. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, take care, everybody.
Yep.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on Fired Up Sports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.